Bitcoin is heading towards all-time highs, and that means one thing, that altcoin season isn't far away. And when that happens, some of the coins that you're holding in your portfolio could see 50x gains or more if you're holding the right coins. But how do we know how to find the right coins? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you 5 key things that you need to look for in every coin that you are holding. Because if you can do that correctly, you will see massive gains during this bull market. Not only that, but I'm also going to tell you the key changes that I'm making to my portfolio that I think are going to see some of the biggest growth over the next few weeks and months. So hit the like button and let's get into today's video. So why is altcoin season so close? Well, Bitcoin, as you can tell, has been going sideways for the last 8 months, and it's been painful. But actually, it's quite normal in a halving year, but actually because the halving year is when the liquidity cycle starts to pump again. It's also when US elections happen, and you can see that Bitcoin is preparing for that right now, having broken this trend, now broken beyond this key level at $68,000, testing it as support and now ready to push much higher as we move towards more money printing globally, interest rate cuts in the US elections, all sorts of other bullish things like the US stock market hitting all-time highs on a daily basis. So what are these 5 things that we need to know about? Well, before we find out, we need to understand what the most successful coins were in the last bull market. First up, and one of the best known coins, was Solana, a layer 1 blockchain that basically did a 260x from its early days. What does that really mean for you? Well, if you put in $100, you would have made $26,800. If you put in $1,000, guess what? You would have made $268,000, which I would call life-changing gains. Next up, we had Gala Games that did over a 300x, a gaming token. So we got a layer 1 blockchain and a gaming token. So this tells us one thing, that technology is really important. Well, that might be so. But then you had Dogecoin, a meme coin that went up over 250x again, making insane gains. No technology to speak of, just a meme coin. We also saw layer 2s explode and a few others. But here's what we should notice from this. All of these different coins are different, but they all have certain things in common. Let's work out what they are by focusing on the 5 different things that I've been talking about. So first up, and the first thing I want to deal with, is the technology and how important the technology is. Well, here's a bit of fake news for you. When it comes to utility tokens, the technology doesn't necessarily matter that much. But what does matter is the perception of the technology. And you're like, what the F does that mean? Well, here. Well, for example, Gala Games was a gaming platform. And whilst many thought it was incredibly exciting to have blockchain-based games and play-to-earn function, Gala Games was actually pretty because the games were crap, and as a platform, it wasn't really that impressive or really able to deal with kind of onboarding a bunch of users to be able to play different games. However, lots of people like myself who liked the idea of it invested in it because the perception was that crypto gaming was an obvious thing. We should invest in games because obviously if people are already playing video games, wouldn't they like to play and earn some tokens? Well, there's my perception. We also saw other brilliant projects which from a technical perspective were great, like Polkadot, really struggle and underperform. And therefore, this is the key thing. If you ever find yourself being like, well, the technology behind this is incredible, this is why I'm betting on it, make sure that that isn't the only reason. Probably make it one of the smaller reasons for why you're invested. It can be important, but I guarantee most people watching this video don't really understand what Talbot Tensor is or how Talbot Tensor really works. And that's fine, I'm not judging you. But you're the smart money because you're here early. The people who arrive next aren't necessarily going to be as smart as you. And if you don't know how it works, they definitely don't. And those people will ape into whatever they perceive to be the value. Okay, that's the first thing. Don't focus just on the tech, but focus on how that tech is perceived. Do people who don't really understand much, who have money to invest in crypto, understand why gaming as an ecosystem might be an easy one to invest in? And gaming is a very easy one to invest in because it's easy to understand why gaming might be a good thing. Okay? It's also important to understand that AI, while it might be a really complex subject, is clearly something that might be worth investing in because it's easy to understand that AI is taking over the world right now because everyone's talking about it. And Elon Musk is making AI robots, and Nvidia is becoming one of the world's fastest growing companies, if not the world's fastest growing company. In contrast, like roll-up zero-knowledge proofs, while kind of maybe good and useful technology, are really quite complex to understand for your average newbie crypto investor, and those are the people who are going to come in next and pump the market. On to the next point, which kind of links up with the first point, and that is a narrative. And just as an example, Google Trends, AI. Right now, you will probably have realized, if you've been in the market for the last 6 months or a year, that everything is linked to narratives. What do I mean by that? Well, narrative is kind of the story behind something. Right now, you've probably noticed that there's one narrative that is ruling the roost. It's meme coins. Obviously, nothing to do with technology, because meme coins you can create in 5 minutes over on a website. But meme coins have the trend at the moment, and the trend can be very useful to understand, because by following the trend, you can make some good gains, although it can be challenging if you enter late into a trend rather than entering early into a trend. Therefore, you will see throughout the bull market, trends pick up at different times. We saw meme coins running strongly last year, and then they kind of died off. They then ran strongly in like March time, and then they died off. They are now running strongly again. Will they die off? Let me know down below. AI has also seen points at which it ran strongly and then dipped, ran strongly and then dipped. And you'll probably see that happen again at key points when Nvidia releases a piece of news or whatever else. Real world assets also see some trends going because BlackRock's involved, and we all know who BlackRock is. You get the picture. But it's so obvious, right? There's narratives that will run this bull market. AI is quite clearly one of those narratives. Meme coins will also have a good run, but there's so many meme coins it can be tricky to find which one's going to be the winner, because obviously a lot of them are already pushing all-time highs. And typically you don't want to enter into coins all-time highs, because typically then you get wrecked. Also, gaming is really important. Gaming will be clearly picking up. We're seeing Off the Grid, a new blockchain game, showing lots of excitement. And so those people who are like, oh, this game is nowhere near as good as whatever else, who cares? Remember, it's not necessarily about the tech, it's the perception of the tech. I don't really game, and I perceive Off the Grid to be a really good game. There's obviously other really good games as well. And some of the games or gaming projects I've started to buy into recently are the likes of Carrot, the likes of Beam, the likes of Ronin, the likes of Superverse. And that's because they fit really well into the narrative. Next up, the third thing, and probably one of the more important parts, is the influencer. And I know lots of you hate this. And I'm not just saying this because I'm also an influencer, but the influencers have a very key role to play in this bull market. And I told you about this the other day in a video I made, talking about this meme coin called Dolan Duck. And I advise heavily you don't go and ape into this, because it's gone bananas in like the last few weeks. And it went bananas because Luke Belmar started to like post Twitter points about it, okay? It went bananas because of Luke Belmar. That is solely down to Luke Belmar, okay? This is Xborg. And Alex Becker made a video about Xborg just the other day down here, and you can see it went up at one point around 215%. Currently it is up 154%. And that's a utility token. So obviously in gaming and things like that, putting all these things together, and you're going to start to identify these key projects, right? The influencer, whether you like it or not, has a bunch of people who are following them. I would guess, because I've done this too, that in the past you've either watched a YouTube video or a Twitter account, and you've watched someone talk about a coin, and you've just gone and bought it without even reading about it. Therefore, the influencer is incredibly important. And if projects fail to catch the eye of influencers in any way that they see fit, this could be problematic for those projects, because no matter how good the tech is, no matter how closely linked it is to the narrative, if no one's getting exposure to this project, then we have a problem on our hands. Now, lots of you I know will be like, well, I don't trust influencers because they do sponsorship. Actually, when it comes to bigger influencers, very few will do sponsorships. Why? Because they're not really worth the amount of money that's being offered. What bigger influencers tend to prefer is to get in on things like KOL rounds, where they're offered like a little bit of a discount to be able to invest their own money in return for being able to talk about projects. This achieves two things. It means that the influencer isn't going to invest their own money in crap projects. Even if they get a good discount, it's not worth it. They're going to do it in good projects. And it means that they're going to work for their money, which means they're going to be out there talking about projects and driving those projects up. Whether you like it or not, I'm not here to debate morality. I'm here to tell you how it works. And if you want to learn how it actually works and have someone tell you the absolute truth of how this market actually runs, then you should subscribe, shouldn't you? Okay, with the notification bell turned on. And then you're going to understand exactly what's going to happen through this bull market, because I'm going to tell you exactly what's going down. So there's a few tools that I use to try and keep an eye on what influencers are up to. Tweetscout.io, which I talked about in a video the other day. It is a premium one that I'm using, but it does have a free version. This is quite cool because you can take like the Twitter handles for different companies, for example, Carrot, that I just mentioned. You can come down below and you can see that the influencers that are talking about or following Carrot, you've got Elio Trades. Okay, Elio Trades is a very influential person in the kind of gaming and AI ecosystem. Okay, Elio Trades talks about games, they tend to go up. He's also the founder of Superverse. He's also heavily involved as an advisor in other gaming ecosystem coins, which means he's more likely to give exposure to projects over and over again. Alex Becker, who we've already mentioned, also very influential when it comes to gaming and AI. It's important to note as well that certain influencers will be very influential in certain areas. For example, if Elio Trades goes and talks about a meme coin right now, it's probably not going to get that much attention. But someone like Luke Belmar or Crash Crypto, or what's his name, Murad, who can't now sell any of his tokens, bless him, will be focused in the meme coin area and now have way more clout in that area. So it's a good thing. If you can find it in this early stage, the coins that are associated with the likes of Elio, with Alex Becker, etc., and buy into those coins, then those guys will pump your bags over the next 6 months or a year because they're pumping their own bags. And your only job is to exit before they do or around the time that they do. Now guys, if this is kind of overwhelming and you're wondering how on earth to continue finding the best coins and you want someone to basically do it for you, then I recommend that you join the Moon House, which is linked down below. In the Moon House, every day myself and multiple experts are sharing the different projects that we're buying into. We're sharing the data and the information behind why we're making those purchases. Also, once or twice per week, I'm running a Zoom call with the other experts where we go and look into the different crypto coins that are about to see big pumps from the data that we're watching. This has allowed people within the group to be able to pick up massive gains recently in the likes of Pontum over on Aptos, in the likes of SuiPad over on Sui. We also picked up Carrot, Ronin, and a bunch of other smaller cap gaming projects recently. So if you want to be in a very supportive community that will hold your hand throughout this bull market, that will help you to up your skill level and make some serious gains, then it's a no-brainer. Join the Moon House down below in the description. So one thing for you to realize for influencers is to go and track what they've been talking about. So for example, in a recent video, click on this link here. So for example, this Alex Becker video, I'd recommend downloading Glasp, and then you can just pull this transcript here, and then you can just use this transcript thing, copy the transcript, go across to ChatGPT and ask it to summarize and show the coins that Alex Becker was talking about. You can come down below and you can see all of these. You can then look at the last like 4 or 5 videos that he made and a bunch of different tokens that he talks about, okay? Therefore, he's going to support throughout this bull market and are likely going to be very strongly performing crypto coins. It's a no-brainer, okay? This is Carrot that we were just talking about, spelt wrong. Obviously, go do some research, okay? Not financial advice to invest in any of these, but it's very, very likely that him and Elio Trades will continue to push gaming tokens and AI tokens. These are the coins they're pushing. Okay, so where have we got so far? Well, simply, we need to have something that is perceived to be good tech, okay? Obviously, meme coins have their own kind of little different ecosystem they operate in. I know people want to buy meme coins and whatever. That's absolutely fine. But in terms of utility coins, understand the tech behind it and be able to explain it to your mate down the pub once you've had like 6 pints or 8 pints if you're like an absolute legend. Anyway, basically, be able to explain it simply so they can understand what you're talking about. Number 2, the narrative. Is it a hot narrative right now? AI, yeah. Is it gaming? People talking about gaming everywhere? Yeah. DeFi and, you know, staking and lending platforms and liquid staking derivatives. Is it going to be that hot? Let's see. Probably not right now. But things change, so keep your finger on the pulse as you move through the bull market and be prepared to make changes. Number 3, the influencers. How many views are they getting on their video? Do they have big influence? If you go and buy things because an influencer talks about them, they probably have good influence over you. What those influencers continue to talk about in terms of tokens on a continuous basis, those coins are probably fairly good bets. And on to the next one, VCs. Now, lots of people, I think, read this wrongly, and it's like a kind of fake news part of this. Lots of people don't like that influencers are involved in crypto. That's fine, you know, whatever, don't care. Can't join them, beat them. Lots of people also hate VCs with massive unlocks and whatever on coins. I understand why, but actually VCs enter into the bottom of the market. They buy very, very cheaply into coins at early stages. VCs are essential to successful projects, and the most successful projects potentially will have the biggest backing of VCs. There will be unlocks over a period of time, but in a bull market, you shouldn't be too concerned with unlocks because most of those unlocks will be brutal in bear markets. But we're a long way from a bear market right now. And crucially, when the unlocks are about to happen, lots of people think, oh, it's time to sell. But actually what happens is the VCs start to pump liquidity to blow the prices up so that they can take unlocks at higher prices. You know that this is what's actually going on, then you want to be involved in projects that are backed by big VCs because you're likely to see more liquidity injected into the market. Solana had massive VCs in the last bull market. Gala Games had big VCs in the last bull market. They outperformed everything. So what you can do, come across to cryptorank.io. Go and check on any project. Okay, this is just Aptos. Come down below and you can look at the fundraising. Go and find out more about different VCs. Dragonfly Capital is one of the biggest. Other massive VCs, Binance Labs, unsurprisingly, Coinbase Ventures, And this is all very key to understand, particularly with some of the smaller projects that might have been backed by Binance that are yet to list on Binance, because there's a good chance that they do list on Binance. And in a later video, I'll show you how to find coins that are about to list on Binance, rather than having to watch someone tell you over and over again that this coin's about to list on Binance to find out that it never does. So again, if I didn't convince you to subscribe in the earlier part, get on with it. You can also use DeFi Llama for this. Go down to raises, click overview, and you can see all the different raises that are going on right now. This also can give you an idea of where the trend is heading, because a lot of VCs will be identifying the key narratives. Okay, so this is a very handy thing for you to be doing. Go to cryptofundraising.info. This is another page where you can see the projects that have raised money recently. You can also come across to crypto fundraising. You can search for like Aptos, and you can see down below, it's going to give you some of the details. It will show you more about how much money they raised. Look, raised $150 million. No crap project raises $150 million. Okay, it's insane. Now, one thing I want to mention, this bull market is slightly different from the previous in that we are starting to move towards adoption. Some projects are actively getting used. And this does play a little bit of a part in some of those projects, okay? So focus towards things like DeFi Llama. For layer ones, it's very key that those layer ones are getting utilized. If you can't see a coin getting utilized, then go and look at about how that tech is perceived, okay? That's very key. And that's where you can see in like things like Deepin, etc., projects getting actually used. When it comes to gaming, projects getting actively used in terms of onboarding active gamers, etc. This is a very key thing that should be bolted onto this. Okay, last but not least, the news. The news will have a very big impact on this bull market. At certain times, you will hear BlackRock talking about certain things that will drive the growth of real-world assets, okay? Look at what the overall perception of the news is right now, and look at where they're driving people. BlackRock is just doing a job of driving people into the projects that it's invested in. Been doing this a lot for real-world assets. You've probably seen NVIDIA getting a load of press as well, and AI getting a load of press. This is also very key, and it can direct us towards the right narratives to be in. It also, though, the hype from this will be finite, so make sure you're not entering in the end of a news event that happened 2 weeks ago and buying AI coins late because of an NVIDIA conference 2 weeks ago, because you'll get wrecked. Guys, you should have found today's video useful. If you did, please smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you're subscribed. And later on this week, we're going to dive in more depth into some new ecosystems, smaller altcoins that you can get involved in, and identify the best way to make the most money during this bull market. Have a good one, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.